So, when it comes to JJK Phantom Parade, this post right here kind of gave us that heads up to say, right, it seems that Itadori will be the first anniversary character that they're going to be releasing. Kind of expected, you know, they're not exactly going to drop Sukuna first thing, right? That'll be pretty insane if they do that. Or even Gojo. Even I'm sure the developers are aware that out of the three boys, Itadori unfortunately is in third place. That being said, he's still a fantastic, incredible character, and I've said my means of, again, if you're a dolphin, pay to win, whatever. If you do want to go for this man, you will not be disappointed. The power this man possesses, it is pretty disgusting, quite easily making the upcoming content on what's to come for global a lot easier to handle, should I say. I mean, it's still doable with Team Gojo, don't get me wrong, but with Itadori, it's more of a quick cleanup from my perspective of things, of course. Not only that, we hit the mini event, so we're all getting a free gacha ticket, 10 multis. Unfortunately, it's only for the standard banner. It's not for any anniversary banners and whatnot, so that is unfortunate. But yeah, and I believe the free multis are still going on right now, so hopefully you guys are getting lucky. I managed to get the red Kugisaki as a free to play. Your boy managed to get, let me just go over the tier list so you guys are aware on what I'm loading up. And now I've already spoken about how, you know, the SP potential is coming to global very, very soon. Oh yeah, I've got a lot of resources. I have not pulled anything for a long time, so I'm currently in the midst of making sure that she's done up beautifully, so when the SP buffs do come in for global, I've got myself a disgusting red DPS. So I am over the moon about that. Free multis coming in clutch on the global side of things. I'm getting distracted. So it is a tough choice between the three boys, because at the end of the day, look, if you have a limited cubes and or you're free to play, unfortunately we don't have the luxury of going for all three, not even two. Like for example with me, unfortunately, you know, again, being free to play on global side of things, I have to prioritize one. That's the situation that I'm in, and I'm sure probably some others are in that situation where you can only prioritize one. And when I say even prioritize, maybe you don't even have for the guaranteed, so you're kind of hoping on getting that one character at the very least. So it comes down to on who to prioritize, and like I said, this lineup is stacked to the absolute brim. So it is going to be coming down to on, you know, what the content is, or the content that is going to be releasing on global. So obviously from experiencing on the JP side of things, I've got the luxury of understanding that each of their values and which is going to be benefiting me the more on the global side of things in terms of my free to play account, right? Now again, all three of these boys are fantastic. Like I can't I can't deny it, right? Sukuna is an absolute behemoth of a character in terms of a blue DPS, and even outside of a blue advantage of a boss fight, he can still hold it down. Like I have seen some craziness that people have been popping off with this man, not of his initial damage, but it's those freaking lacerations. Those DOT that he applies are just too disgusting. Like you can apply laceration on the first skill whilst ult chasing. The second skill you can crit increase along with crit rate and crit damage, of course. Once you activate the ultimate, you're guaranteed a 150 damage dealt increase, which is stupid. You then apply a debuff onto the enemy where they receive an extra 45% on for 3 turns. So you can maximize that alongside with the crit increase, for then his third skill to just completely bombard the enemy. And this is where you can apply a lot of the lacerations. So if you do it under 40 curse energy, he'll apply 2 lacerations at 20%. 40 curse energy, 2 lacerations at 40% continuous Jujutsu damage, of course. 90 is where you get the max amount, 1200 damage. Disgusting. 3 stacks of lacerations at 50%. It is so disgusting. And then of course the ultimate itself, I'm sure you guys have seen many videos of this man just completely slicing and dicing the enemy, but close to 1700 a pop, 8 hit, stacks up 4 lacerations at 50%. So all in all, you can, once you involve the ultimate, really pile on and have like 10 lacerations popping off with each doing 50% continuous damage. So it's like, it's pretty disgusting. And so that is one of the key factors of what a lot of people do utilize in terms of even fights outside of blue typing advantage, of course. Also, cursed energy, recovery and whatnot, yeah, he just shoots it up. It's yeah, you don't need to worry about when it comes to your curse energy being that low, because you're kind of guaranteed all of that once the ultimate pops off. And then of course when it comes to his passive, you know, he's got that constant, I wouldn't say constant healing, but he's got some form of consistency of healing if you get lucky with RNG through his passive. And then not only that, you know, with that King of Curse, I mean, you can't go wrong with that, with the immunity he applies, resistance that's going on. When he performs a critical hit, there's that 30% damage up increase, has that 20% curse energy recovery, and then if receiving a hit that's 3000 HP damage, then he's got a 50% chance to get that Taijutsu and Jujutsu stat increase of 20%. So in terms of blue DPS and in terms of DPS in general, when it comes to the game itself, you are not going to see anyone better than this man itself. So again, for blue typing, he is just absolutely wrecking house. And again, in certain stages and certain team comps, you can utilize this Sukuna in fights that are outside of blue. In the more difficult stages, it's not going to be viable, but in stages where you can just squeeze away, yeah, Sukuna's viable. Yeah, you can. I mean, I've just recently spoken about this man, and again, really good yellow DPS character. Again, the key factor about this man and why he's a huge character is that he's the first ever character to be able to do multiple hits in a singular turn. And again, with the damage output and with the team comp and with where yellow team comp is at right now, you can produce some disgusting amount of damage, have that survivability, have that consistency, of course. And in terms of the more difficult stages that the game has got going on, yeah, with Itadori by your side, with the correct yellow team comp, being yellow mono should I say, you really can cook a storm. Even again outside of a yellow team coverage, depending on the fight itself, Taijutsu does have a key play going on with certain bosses, so you can actually still make good use of this Itadori, of course. So he does have his moments. So again, another unit that we just, you know, if I had the luxury of getting them all, I'll do it, but unfortunately on the global side of things, I can only resort to one. But outside of all the raw power, you've got then this you've got then this Gojo, of course. And if I'm being completely honest with what I've experienced and tackling the more difficult game modes, this Gojo is 100% way more universal and way more helpful in targeting, I think, in every piece of mode. I think I've utilized, I'm pretty sure whenever it comes to events, whenever it comes to the investigation mode, like even with the current flaws that we've got going on with the tower mode, even with the sweep mode, Gojo is universal, purely because of that 200 increase in damage that he can apply. So I think that alone says a lot, more so of just kind of going raw DPS. I mean, I understand that with having this Gojo, you won't be able to run the other Gojos, but I mean, for the blue typing, you got the Itadori, you got the Nanami, of course. When the SP buff comes into play, you gotta remember, Jogo, free to play. My man is back in the back. He's back in his bag, cooking up. Green typing is stacked, you know, with the SP buff for Nanami and Itadori. You got the two girls, Kugisaki and Maki, which you got to, of course, soon release. Mahito you can utilize. You just have to be wary of domain expansion. So I would say utilize Mahito's domain expansion first, then going into Gojo's. I think that's the way it works, or it's the other way around. Either or, right? And then of course yellow SP potential for Kugisaki's there, Nanami's still in his bag, so that, again, I'm sure he'll get his SP buff. Now the one thing which I will say is that this Megami does compete with Gojo, because some people still like to push more so for Megami in terms of doing a lot more nuking potential damage. You can, if you want to, stack these two boys together. I've seen people do that, and again, the end result is just disgusting. So in terms of that nuking power, in terms of kind of stopping the enemy, giving you that break whilst being able to apply that plus 200% increase of damage and kind of stopping the enemy there and there in terms of their ultimate side of things, Gojo is a universal type character. Universal, meaning he works with any team, any typing, any mode, any boss fight, you name it, he's there, he's viable, he's usable. And it's as simple as that. So I think from that perspective, and for what I've experienced, I am going to be prioritizing Gojo. I would recommend that, just from the things that I've just said in terms of how that he's so more so of a universal type character. And again, this is more so if you have limited amount of cubes, if you are free to play, and realistically, if you can only aim for one, which one would you should aim for? It's going to be the man of the hour Gojo. I think that will be the safest bet. I think this man will help you out a lot in terms of your account, in terms of progressing and tackling more of the difficult content, even content that you may be struggling right now. Definitely Gojo will help you out. I guess the only bad thing is that you won't be able to utilize the other Gojos. So that will then have to push you to set up other main DPSs for your other typings, of course. I think that's the only slight little change that you might have to make up. But outside of that, this Gojo, again, he himself does possess some good DPS power. So that's something not to be slept on, of course. But for the boys themselves, because I know that even though I'm saying Gojo might be the main choice, maybe some people are like, I still need to utilize my Gojo and I've got Megumi, he's still get a good buffer. Then realistically, between the two boys, go for the typing that you need. I think that's the one thing which I will say. But I think majority more so will go after Sukuna, purely because of one, the damage you can dish out, the buffing they can apply, the debuff, all that, but more importantly, it's that disgusting amount of laceration damage that you can apply even after the turn. So the initial hit will be there with, what was it, the 1700 and the 1200 damage apply, the Jujutsu damage you can apply, which is disgusting. And then the turn after that, when it comes to the enemy's turn, those lacerations, there's additional 100k popping up 10 times, like that extra milli coming in. At times it could be an extra 2 mil hit coming in through the lacerations. It's disgusting. So yeah, in terms of DPS power, that's going to be the case on that one. So yeah, I think Gojo is going to be the priority here. If you are a free-to-play and if you have limited low amount of cubes, I think that would be your best bet to get to try and get this man. If you can get this man early on, congratulations. Look at your typing, see what you need more, but I feel like a lot of people are still gonna lean over to Sukuna, which again I don't like, because technically speaking, yeah, you can power through a lot of the early content. And when I mean early content, I'm talking about content that's currently available on global now, outside of what's to be added later.